Everyone, how's it going? I'm Gary, or the Shaverish 31 Clearwing Synchro Dragon here, back for another Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed video. And this is something I've been wanting to do for a while now with the top 5 best Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals. Now, throughout the Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, along with our main protagonist, he's had a rival always to keep him on his toes and to get him to do his best. Those rivals might be a friend, they might have became a friend, or they just might be a genuine asshole who is an anti-hero at best, and will only side with the protagonist if it's in their best interest. Regardless, we've had our fair share of rivals of the series. Some series have had more than one rival, but with 5 series, there's only going to be 5 rivals, as I'm going to include just the main rivals. So, characters like Kaiser and Shark will not be on this list. Kaiser is someone who I never really saw as a rival to Judai and GX. Truth be told, I really don't understand where the rivalry between them really comes from. Yeah, they've had matches, but I don't really think that actually makes them rivals. They didn't really have a heated match just because, their first duel really came from Judai trying to defend Cyrus, from the way Kaiser basically treated him in the first season of GX, and the end of GX was pretty much because Kaiser felt Judai's really the only person worth his time, but I don't really think he actually considered him a rival, per se. So, he won't be on this list, because again, I just don't think he is actually a rival. And as for Shark, he had potential to be Yuma's rival. At first, he kind of seemed like he would have been the rival, but upon Kaito coming into the story, Shark eventually became the third member of the power trio, or in essence, he basically became Yuma's right-hand man, or his best friend, or basically his Joey. Like Jaden had with Cyrus, or with Johan, Yusei with Crow, Yuya with the man, Gongensuka, and Yugi with Joey. Shark was Yuma's Joey. So he won't be on this list either. Although I will say the twist of him being a Barian, I thought was pretty cool. But then again, the entire Barian thing in general was great. So without any more further hesitation, let's jump right into the video. My top 5 favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Rivals. Alright, kicking off this list is the GX rival, Jun Manjumi, or Chazz Princeton in the dub. Now, as a kid, I loved GX. I thought Chazz was pretty funny, starting with the whole Chazz stuff or Manjumi Thunderstick. But now that I'm older, that really doesn't hold up as well. I like Manjumi's character development in GX. Initially, he starts off as an arrogant jackal who cared about nothing more than being the best, or whatever could make him the best, but mellowed out and learned humility as time went on. So why is he so low on this list? Despite his development for me being good, he just became an overall joke in this series. At first, I thought he had the potential to be a very good rival to Judai, but that just never happened. He regularly got his ass kicked by Judai. Manjumi had a total of 20 on-screen duels in the GX series and lost more than half of them. And whenever he did win, it was usually against fodder or one-shot characters who weren't even important in the story. Half of his losses came from Judai. Manjumi had the potential to be a great rival, but just failed in the end. I've heard in the manga he is a worthy rival, but in the anime, not so much. People would list Kaiser as Judai's rival, but I never really considered them to be actual rivals, and Manjumi was technically the main rival of GX anyway. But now that this is out of the way, it gets better from here on out. And it was absolute torture for me to put this next spot at number 4, but my mind's made up. Number 4, our current rival, Reggie Akaba from Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5. Truth be told, I didn't know Reggie was Yugi's rival. I thought Sawatari was his rival, but I digress. And it absolutely killed me to put him so low on this list because Reggie truly does have everything it takes to be the best rival. He's beaten our protagonist, he's important to the story, he's just a straight up badass in every sense of the word. Reggie's probably more badass than every rival on this list, or really most characters in the entire anime. He can destroy anyone, whether it be in a duel or with his words alone. Reggie's theme alone will let anyone know that this guy will wreck your shit and look good doing it. His dueling skills are top-notch. Reggie is one of the most skilled duelists in the entire anime, refilling his hand in the blink of an eye, complete mastery over every extra deck mechanic, and being able to summon them all out in a single turn. Infinite OTK loops. You can't make something like this up. You could tell me that Reggie can fly, create custom cards out of thin air, and that he created the entire Yu-Gi-Oh universe, and I would believe you. Reggie probably has done all that. He just hasn't said it yet. As far as his dueling skills go, in addition, he'd probably be able to waste every other character on this list. He plays an important part of the story in forming the Lancers and acting somewhat as a stealth mentor to Yuya. So with all of that, why is he in the number 4 position? While Reggie may define badass, what killed him for me is that while he's important to the story, he doesn't do much for the story. Reggie doesn't really do or say a whole lot, whether it's dueling, talking, or even appearing on screen. Reggie has only had 5 on-screen duels by the time the series reached episode 120. Reggie's overall lack of participation in the series is what keeps him from being any higher on this list. I completely understand that Reggie's voice actor is so busy that he doesn't have the time to voice Reggie, so he does have a legitimate excuse for why he can't do or say a whole lot. But I can't pull any punches here. If Reggie dueled more, or at least appeared more, then maybe he'd be higher, but for now, he's at number 4. Although that could change, since Arc 5 still has about a minimum of 6 months before it ends. Taking the bronze medal is the original rival Seto Kaiba himself.
You suck!
That's it, folks. Grab your torches and pitchforks because I ain't changing it. Mighty Seto Kaiba isn't number 1. And you better believe if Reggie had done more in Arc 5, then Kaiba would be number 4. So Jackal here is lucky that he barely scrapes the number 3 position. But anyway, just because he's Seto Kaiba from the original series doesn't mean he's owed any favors or special treatment for nostalgic reasons. But anyway, Seto Kaiba, what is there to really say about him? Nothing much really. He fits almost every criteria like a glove. His dueling skills to this day are still some of the best in the series, not that he's unbeatable. I mean, I can see Yusei or any other protagonist onward doing that. He does play an important part of the story with his Egyptian background, and as for we all know, his rivalry with Yugi, which is legendary. Anytime Yugi and Kaiba are set to duel, it's pretty much 100% guaranteed that we're about to see something amazing. But while Kaiba may not be my favorite rival, his rivalry with Yugi is still probably one of the best in the series, with in my opinion only one rivalry being able to match theirs. But even so, Seto Kaiba with all of his awesomeness isn't perfect. A huge flaw Kaiba has, for me, is that he lacks any sort of real development, let alone huge accolade. I mean, Jack defeated Aporia, who was the main antagonist of the WRGP arc. Kaito defeated Mizao, which unlocked Numeron Dragon and a Numeron Code, which helped Yuma and Mash defeat Don 1000. And Reggie defeated Roger, who was the main antagonist of the Synchro Dimension arc in Arc 5. Then again, we have Monjomi, but Monjomi was a joke to begin with, so he doesn't really count. Kaiba really hasn't had a truly great victory. He pretty much had an entire arc dedicated to his backstory, and he still didn't even defeat the main villain of that arc. You could argue he defeated Gozaburo Kaiba, but Noah was the true antagonist of that arc, so that doesn't really count for much. Now, going back to his development, he doesn't really do much of it. He starts the series off as an asshole, and the series ends with him still being an asshole. While the others were still assholes too, they at least maintained their jerk persona, but became more humble and respectable characters as time went on. Kaiba, not so much. But despite all that, Kaiba still is awesome, but with a serious attitude problem and lack of growth. So Jackal here takes the bronze medal, just like he did at Battle City when Yugi knocked his ego down a peg or two. The silver medal goes to the Zexal rival Kaito Tenjo. Now before I go any further, like I said, I don't consider Shark to be Yuma's rival in Zexal. As time went on, he became Yuma's right-hand man or best friend. Yuma himself has even said Shark is his best friend, while Kaito is his goal, so that's enough for me to put Kaito in the rival position. Kaito had it all in every criteria on this list I judge his characters by. He's important to the story, an incredibly competent duelist, a good character, and the development this guy had was great. He truly had it all. Kaido's relevance to the story of Zexal does dwindle in Zexal 2 with the whole burying thing. It was even pointed out that Mizao came along just to give him something to do. But in the earlier half of Zexal, he was Yuma's rival in both dueling and numbers hunting. And at first, he came off as somewhat of an antagonist, while later it's revealed that he's more along the lines of an anti-villain at worst, or a well-intentioned extremist at best. While Kaito didn't necessarily like what he was doing, stripping people of their souls and killing them, basically, and making it clear to Yuma that he was still on his hit list multiple times, he wasn't in the least bit malicious or evil, but was doing all those things just to cure his terminally ill younger brother, who in his words was his everything, even going as far as to say he reserved a spot for himself in hell and sold his soul to save his brother. After Zexal 2 began, he didn't really do a whole lot until he began his rivalry with Mizao. When their final duel came to a head, he created Numeron Dragon, which unlocked Numeron Code, and played a part in Danthal's defeat. So you can kind of say Kaito did play a big role in the final half of Zexal. His dueling skills are definitely among some of the best in the anime, outmatching Ashley even and regularly defeating Yuma. In fact, to this day, Kaito remains the only rival who's never lost to the main protagonist. The only other rival you could say could hold that same accolade would be Reggie, but Yuya has yet to defeat Reggie, but Reggie gave him the win in their first duel because, well, he had to leave on business before he could finish Yuya off. Kaito had a strong introduction in Zexal. His motives for his actions were pretty good in the first half. It really helped his character grow, and while he may dwindle in quality in the second half of Zexal, he was still overall a truly fantastic character, who was one of the few characters of Zexal that I actually liked, and is one of my favorite characters in the franchise as a whole. Not to mention his death in Zexal 2 was one of the saddest things I've ever seen in Yu-Gi-Oh! It actually made me cry. Number 1 would be the king himself, Jack Atlas, from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. And it's really hard to talk about a rival like this one, because to me, Jack's character development felt more fleshed out than any other character on this list. Kaiba was a jackal who didn't really develop much at all, while Jumio went from spoiled rich tug munch to a guy who learned humility by the time GX ended, but it was still a butt monkey. Kaito at first appeared to be a soulless soul collector, but was later revealed to be the exact opposite, and a rival to Yuma in more ways than one. And Reggie hasn't really done a whole lot of anything in Arc 5. Meanwhile, Jack started off as an arrogant jackal on the top of the mountain because it was later revealed that he jacked Yusei's best card and D-Wheel, then gave Yusei the ultimatum of duel him or let a small child die before taking said card and D-Wheel to live the good life in Neo Domino City. Then, after being defeated by Yusei and the Fortune Cub in Demo near everyone abandoned him, he realized the mistake he made of trading his friends in the satellite who would have stayed by his side no matter what, for a comfortable life in the city where everyone dropped him like he was hot after losing one match. You see, he was both angry by the sudden shift in his life, but truly felt guilty about the things he had done to get that better life. With the help of Carly, he began to be more open and caring towards others on his path to redemption. Jack's development as a character mostly shines during the Darksiders arc, where he's fighting to help protect the people of Satellite, but more so to help Carly after he purposely left her in the dark in order to keep her safe from the Darksiders, which failed in the end as she became a Darksider. And when their fated duel came, Jack even went as far as to leave his own fate in her hands, hoping to bring her back to her senses. And when she finally did, she became possessed by her Earthbound Immortal, and then Jack went as far as to try and force their duel to end in a stalemate so he could die with her, before admitting that he fell in love with her, and during the finale of the Darksiders arc, he finally reconciled with Yusei after giving a speech about bonds and how hard it is for people to become alone, thanks to Carly's love showing him that, showing him just how much he's changed since losing to Yusei. And this was just the first 64 episodes of a 154 episode series. And despite the apparent reset button with 5Ds, Jack still does grow more as a character. In the still good, but not as good second half of 5Ds. Jack's dueling skills are still some of the best in the series, like most of the other rivals on this list. If I would include his off-screen duels, then Jack would have a better duel score than anyone in this entire series. Dueling skills mostly shine in the earlier portion of 5Ds, where he had really good strategies, despite relying too much on Red Dragon Archfiend, and later becoming more reckless, relying too much on power in general, which came back to bite him in the end. And, say what you will, Jack himself is technically a king of games, or a king of duelists like Yugi, so almighty precious Yugi isn't the only one to hold that title. I also feel like Jack's rivalry with Yusei is on par with Yugi and Kaiba's rivalry, if not better, I'll venture to say. Jack was a character who immensely developed over the course of 5Ds, went from a self-centered man with an ego bigger than Donald Trump. Let's talk about, I take that back. That's impossible. But he still had a huge inflated ego, but then felt guilty about how he got to the top and learned humility from the only person aside from his friends who didn't abandon him, who could see he was a good person at heart. Jack Atlas for me is hands down the best rival of the Yu-Gi-Oh anime. Long live the king, Jack Atlas. And there you have it, you guys. Those are my top 5 favorite rivals of Yu-Gi-Oh! Now this list could change. I could rewatch every series all over again and I might change my mind. Like I said, Reggie still has potential to become higher than what he is on the list. He could probably overtake Kaiba. He's already close to doing that. But only time will tell. But for now, this is my list, you guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. Who are your favorite rivals? Let me know there in the comment section below. I am Gary, or the Shapefish 31 Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Stay gold, everyone.